Hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Communist Hour with your host, the Mass Communist. Today we're going to touch on a subject that a lot of people are a little bit touchy on. It's the end of the world. There are several different scenarios that go into the end of the world. One of them being coronal mass ejection. Basically, it's when there's a mass ejection on the surface of the sun that comes from the sun, hits the atmosphere, causes a major electromagnetic pulse, which takes out our entire electrical grid across the planet. In the early 19th century, around the time that we had telegraphs, there was one instance where there was a coronal mass ejection, and in some places it was so bad that some of the telegraph lines actually caught on fire. The other scenario is a polar shift, which would be the magnetic poles north and south shifting places. This sort of scenario caused massive earthquakes, all that sort of stuff. And the number one that is on people's mind right now is inflation. Rapid inflation. Now, rapid inflation, what that is commodities become so drastically expensive that nobody can afford, basic needs. Food, cleaning supplies, hell, toilet paper. And, the more that I look into the subject, the more I see it happening. For instance, gold prices within the last, 10 years have almost tripled. They've gone up almost 300% in the last 10 to 15 years. And this brings up a really interesting possibility that rapid inflation could be the next Doomsday. Hell, I'm sure most viewers out there have seen it happening. You go to the store, one day milk is, I believe last year I paid $1.95 for a gallon of milk, and now milk is almost $4 a gallon. And that's within 1 year. And that's across the spectrum. Every store that you go to, it's damn near $3 to $4. In some places it's $5 for just a gallon of milk. Cocoa prices have drastically increased. And the one point I definitely want to get across with this is people who are prepared. For instance, government stocks right now for MREs, for each member, we have enough MREs, meal ready to eat, or to the military community, meals revolted by everyone. They're not that good, trust me. But right now, our government stocks for MREs are at a point to where every single soldier in any branch of the military has roughly around 2.5 years worth of MREs. And that's not including, things that you would normally get at their dining facilities, like cafeterias. But the most interesting thing is the popularity in civilian preparations. Some of them are absolutely over the top. There's one man who at the moment has roughly around 7 years worth of food. Damn it. He has roughly around 7 years worth of food for 35 people. Okay, sorry about that. My computer had a small glitch going on. It was starting to freeze up. But this man has 7 years worth of food for roughly around 35 people. And that's craziness. I mean, honestly, the typical stored food, uh, like canned goods, only has roughly around a 5 year shelf life. So having that much food it's almost ridiculous, but I can see the point. Due to the recent trends in inflation due to our near economic collapse that we have currently with our stock market, uh, this is just a rough estimate, but food in that sort of quantity stored for just you and a group of people, typical pricing for that would be the value of his food stores is roughly about 400% of the actual quantity of what it is. So realistically, his food has 400% of its typical store value, which is amazing by the current trends. Next year, if there isn't a drastic economic collapse, his food will be completely invaluable. And there are certain others who have brought up other issues. The simple fact of being able to consistently supply your own food. There's one gentleman right now in Arizona. Him and his family have they built an aquaponic greenhouse in their backyard right inside their swimming pool. And roughly, they produce almost more food than they can eat out of a simple, swimming pool, 20 foot on one end, 4 feet on the other end, and it's just one aquaponic greenhouse. Aquaponics, by the way, is a form of greenhouse growing that reuses the water. Essentially, there are nutrients fed into the water by animal waste and from fish living in the deeper end of his swimming pool. And he produces almost more. Okay, another slowing in my system here. Okay. But anyway, he produces almost more food than he can eat. Him and his family can eat. Simply from the fish that he put into his, he calls it a pond, but it's the deep end of his swimming pool. But essentially, he put tilapia fish into his swimming pool. Tilapia, their particular species, reproduces faster than most other species of fish. Typically, they'll have somewhere around 4,000 eggs per female fish. And immediately after spawning, about 4 to 6 weeks after they've spawned, they're ready to spawn again, to have a whole nother batch of little baby tilapia fish. And that to me is just amazing. These people have somehow figured out, through their ability to earn, somehow they've modified these systems so that if an economic collapse, which I do believe is imminent, once it occurs, they're set. They don't really have to worry about any resources from the outside. The only real thing is they have to protect themselves because, during a rapid inflation scenario, most of these people aren't going to be able to go to the stores and buy food everything, which is going to create an outbreak of lawlessness. People robbing stores and stealing food, and once that goes down, police even would have a hard time purchasing the simple needs to feed their children. So these people who are preparing themselves for any sort of collapse of society, they definitely need to bring up defenses to protect against these, I guess you'd call them marauders, who are attempting to invade their home and steal their food stores. Because, essentially, honestly, myself, I am a father. If it came down to it, I would, without a doubt, end up attacking somebody and stealing their food to simply protect the life of my child. And honestly, if we don't change our government processes that we have in place now, that's going to become a really serious issue. These people ending up combating others to steal their food. And my time is nearly up here. Next month I will be conducting the No Shit Sherlock Award. I have a very strong candidate in mind as one of the presidential candidates. Thank you for joining. I hope this episode has been enlightening, and I hope to see you again next week. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.